question 2C, again I've highlighted the pieces of information that I think are relevant. This is a GCSE question covered in AQA and OCR GCSE. Write an ionic equation including state symbols. It tells you there. If you don't have them, you don't get the mark for the reaction in this preparation. And what would be observed? When you're asked for observations, you have to talk about the things that you can see and that you can feel. Carbon dioxide being formed, for example, wouldn't necessarily be a clear observation because at that point you don't know it's carbon dioxide being formed. Bubbles are an observation, effervescence is an observation, so you have to be careful what you include if it's an observation. Now here we've got copper 2+ ions with state symbols, with hydroxide ions with state symbols to give us our copper hydroxide precipitate, and it is a blue precipitate that we form. The three main colours that you need to know are the blue for copper, the iron 2, which is your greeny colour, and then also your iron 3, which is your orangey brown colour. Next question, it's believed that copper 2+ ions in the mixture interact with protein molecules in fungi and prevent growth. This here indicates to you to think about proteins and polyamide chemistry as well as transition metal chemistry, and you could think of something along the lines of cisplatin and ligand chemistry, transition metal chemistry. But this is a synthesis question, so obviously it's applying it to a new situation. Now, what will happen is that the copper will form a dative covalent bond with the protein, either with the nitrogen or with the oxygen atoms. Now it does this because the nitrogen and the oxygen atoms both have lone pairs that they're able to donate. Some of you might be thinking, but why is copper forming a covalent bond when it's an ion that we have present? There aren't any ions in the protein that the copper can easily bond to or bind to. So what we've got present, the things that have got that slightly negative charge, are the nitrogens and the oxygens. The only way that copper as an ion will be able to form these connections and bonds with the nitrogens and oxygens is through the electrons, through the electron pair. Because copper is positively charged when it's attracted because of the lone pair of electrons, because there is a lone pair of electrons, both of those electrons can then be donated from that atom, from the nitrogen atom or the oxygen atom, to form a covalent bond with the ion. So don't get stuck here or trapped here into thinking this is an ion, therefore I can only think about ionic bonding. Copper can be involved in other types of bonding as well. So this one here is quite tricky because it does involve bringing together and synthesizing quite a number of different elements of chemistry that you've studied.